welcome to our first podcast on tobacco use disorder while we navigate in the tobacco use disorder in college. My name is Itzel.
My name's Genesis.
My name's Andrea.
My name's Aaliyah.
I'm Nalani.
And I'm Taylor.
Tobacco use disorder has become a huge issue in our society. Today, we will be touching on the topics and issues relating to tobacco use disorder and how it has impacted college students and in their lives. So, what exactly is tobacco use disorder?
Well, Ethan, according to the DSM-5, published by the American Psychiatric Association, tobacco use disorder is a problematic pattern of tobacco that causes significant impairment. And it can be characterized by one having a very strong craving or strong desire for tobacco, and not simply smoking just one cigarette every once in a while, but smoking multiple times a day and even multiple packs a day. Spending a significant amount of time on not much else except on trying to acquire tobacco. A complete reduction or stop in activities or personal obligations, such as not showing up for work or other personal commitments. Continuing to use tobacco, although it's causing a lot of detrimental health effects on them or hindering their social relationships with others, and constantly using tobacco in areas where it's not allowed or even dangerous. But why is it that tobacco is so addicting? Alea, can you explain?
Yes, so I did some research on why tobacco is so addictive, and I've came up with a few bullet points. So when you ingest tobacco, it delivers a chemical called nicotine to your brain within seconds. So it's very, very fast. And nicotine causes a chemical called dopamine, which is also known as a neurotransmitter. And I feel like everyone's kind of familiar with dopamine. And that just plays a role in pleasure, motivation, and learning. And this makes it so much easier to become dependent on nicotine and more difficult to quit. It's also, tobacco is so addictive because companies put additives in their products to kind of appeal or to make that dopamine hit a little bit stronger. And so on the other hand, where does tobacco originate from? I know Nalani had some points on that.
Yes, so tobacco comes from the leaves of a plant called nicotiana that derives from North and South Central America and can be dated back to the 1st century BC, where the ancient Mayans used it for their sacred religious rituals. So tobacco started spreading around other tribes in Central America, where it was used for medical purposes, such as earaches, asthma, which was the most interesting to me. Oh, wow. So it was inhaled kind of like an inhaler. It was also used for bowel movement, fever, depression, and insect bites. So once Christopher Columbus set foot into the Americas, it began to be spread around the world, and then that's when it became used for smoking, so in pipes, cigars, and snuffs, which are little packs that go in between the gums and the teeth. So I know tobacco can be used for good purposes, however, it can become addictive if you overuse it. Is there any withdrawal symptoms that come with it on there?
Yes, there are, Naomi. In fact, one of the quotes that I think really relates to someone who is struggling with any substance abuse disorder really is by John Armstrong, that you can't help people that don't want to be helped. Mm-hmm. And because ultimately it's up to the individual themselves to want to change and want to stop. And although you can have support from family members or friends, they have to decide to quit on their own. And one of the worst things that you can say to someone who is struggling to quit using tobacco is, why don't you just quit? Because a lot of the times the person knows what they're doing is harmful, but the individual doesn't know how to quit or just can't quit cold turkey. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, some of the most common withdrawal symptoms a person experiences when they're trying to quit tobacco is feeling upset, frustrated, irritated, anxious, having difficulty sleeping, concentrating, and having an increased appetite, and that can lead to weight gain too. And one of the ways to calm withdrawal symptoms when trying to quit is something called nicotine replacement therapy. And I know, Alea, you have some info on this.
Yes, so I do have some info on nicotine replacement therapy, but as just to piggyback on what you said, the withdrawal symptoms can come from, there's so many products that have nicotine in them. Just for example, like the snuff that you just mentioned. Nowadays, it's called, it's like a brand named Zins, and it's very popular amongst college students. So because there's such a wide range of products that now have tobacco, such as e-cigarettes and the modern day snuff. So nicotine replacement therapies, NRTs, they can help kind of reduce the usage of tobacco because they're safe and effective products that contain nicotine and are designed to help adults quit. It helps because small amounts of nicotine are released in the brain without the toxic chemicals and additives found in cigarette smoke and mostly all products that contain tobacco on the shelves. And some examples of these NRTs are skin patches, gums, lollipops, and they can all help you or help anybody that you know go through the early stages of quitting. But the only bad thing I feel like NRTs have is that there's no FDA approved NRT for youth use, and a lot of college students fall into that youth category. So as of now, there's no FDA approved therapy to help lessen or reduce or even quit tobacco use. And I know Taylor had some good facts about why college students find it so appealing to now ingest tobacco in all the forms that there is nowadays.
So one of the main reasons, like how you were saying, how Zins are the more common or more popular versions of snuff, vaping and tobacco and everything like that is popular. It's very widely known that it's socially acceptable now. It's the healthier version of smoking cigarettes, so it's popular. Another thing is also readily available and it's heavily advertised. I think if you look on Mesa, if you just go on Google Maps, you can probably find at least 10 vape stores at least just along the street of Mesa. So imagine how many there is just in El Paso or in nationwide. Another thing is they're heavily advertised. So think of, you look at just one vape, it has many colors on it. Visual appeal is very big for college students. Also the flavors, banana, mango, pineapple, all kind of everything. Just having that kind of taste can also help. But I know that there's some desirable kind of effects that we get from smoking, and I know Itzel kind of has some information on that as well.
So according to CDC, scientists don't really know what's being put into the bodies of these college students, but they do know it contains nickel, tin, and lead, and which can cause cancer or any other diseases on the long-term run. And then nicotine can also be found in tobacco products, which is the additive substance that can be harmful to adolescents' brain, and it can lead up to the early to mid-20s. And then nicotine is also an appetite suppressant, which causes weight loss for many. And many college students have claimed that this reduces anxiety for them, especially for tests and stuff. But it has also, like, a lot of other people have said that it increases their anxiety. So it just depends on, like, the people and how they deal with the stuff.
Yeah.
So can you give us some interesting facts, Genesis?
No, just kidding. Yes. So I found a few famous people that actually had an addiction towards smoking. I just narrowed it down to the three that I thought were just like shocking. The first person that I do have is Patrick Swayze. If you guys don't know him, he's from Dirty Dancing. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in the early 2000s. After a year of his treatment, which included a drug trial and chemo, it metastasized to his liver. So he had said he was a very heavy smoker for most of his life, which he believed that habit had contributed to the development of his disease. So the only cure for his disease was surgery, but unfortunately he couldn't get it because just the mastization of his liver was just too big. So he just was not able to get it. And he did end up dying from that. And then another person that we have is our former president, Barack Obama. Now this one shocked me because he was our president. And I was like, what? But he was also a very heavy smoker throughout his teenage life to now. He still struggles with the addiction. He described his addiction as a lifelong battle for him. Back then he chewed Nicorette, which is kind of like how you and Taylor had mentioned, Aaliyah, it's Zins now. So basically he chewed it to avoid the like the scumming taste that he wanted of like
Yeah.
smoking. But he had said too, if he has a slip up, he'll smoke, but he just won't smoke in front of in front of people, because it'll just make him like disappointed that he, turned to smoking. But in 2009, he did pass our anti-smoking bill, which was an attempt to protect our future generation from picking up the habit. So I guess that was like a good thing coming from him. But yeah, and then the last person that I had was Walt Disney. And a lot of people go to Disneyland, a lot of people watch, Disney movies, and they have no idea like that Walt Disney also had a big addiction to smoking, which unfortunately he did die in an unsuccessful operation to remove a lung tumor that was caused by smoking. And just a few facts: 5,000 chemicals is in one cigarette, so imagine smoking a pack, more than a pack, like that's crazy. Smoking can cause lung cancer, stroke, heart attacks, vision loss, diabetes, poor hygiene, as well as vaping is 95% less harmful to your health than smoking. So just a few little things here and there for you guys.
And on that note, too, we had a little video, just how you were saying, like, household names. We decided to put a visual up, and yeah.
I wish I'd never seen a cigarette in my entire life. I truly do. I wish I'd never ever seen one. Much less picked it up and smoked it.
If you or someone you know is suffering from tobacco use disorder, call the national helpline number 1-800-662-4357.
Thank
you.
you.